करांगा कि उस स्टेज पे हम थोड़े नाल अपने विचार कुछ जिहड़े उन्होंने इकट्ठे किए हुए ने वो सारी चीज़ां थोड़े नाल शेयर कर सकन। और ये भी डॉक्टर साहब आओ, वेलकम।
वाहिगुरू जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरू जी की फतेह। सब तो पहला मैं सतनाम सर्व कल्याण ट्रस्ट को धन्यवाद करना चाहता कि उन्होंने मैंने मौका दिता इधर आने लाए ते तुहाडे नाल कुछ सोच सांझ करना। आज मैं कोई खास प्रेजेंटेशन या स्लाइड्स नहीं बनाया क्योंकि मैं थोड़ा अपने दिल से गल करना चाहता सी ते मैं ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ थोड़ा सबूत देने लगी मैंने पंजाबी आती है, मैं पंजाबी के शुरू करना चाहता सी पर एक्चुअली मैं ज़्यादातर अंग्रेजी में बोलांगा। आई होप दैट्स ओके विद एवरीवन। सो तुसी शायद सोचते होवोगे ये फॉरन बंदा कितों आया पंजाबी बोलते किवें हो सकता है, मतलब क्यों आया, क्यों पंजाबी बोलने का। सो मैं थोड़ी देर बाद मैं अपनी कहानी सुनाऊंगा, बट सब तो पहला मैं कुछ लिसनिंग के बारे गल करना चाहता सी। सो सब तो पहला कौन मैनू दस सकता है या सारे सामने दस सकता है अंग्रेजी भाषा के लिसनिंग अते हीयरिंग उहदे विचों की फर्क है। क्योंकि पंजाबी या हिंदी भाषा के असी सिर्फ सुनना कहते हैं, सुनना है, बट अंग्रेजी के दो शब्द है, एक है लिसनिंग, एक है हियरिंग। सो उहदे विचों की फर्क है, कोई मैनू दस सकता है। हाँ जी,
अगर मैं थोड़ी मेडिकल टर्मिनोलॉजी कहूँ, हियरिंग इज लाइक जस्ट रिसीविंग द sound wave impulses and listening is interpretation of the brain or those impulses.
very good, thank you very much. Yes, so hearing is a passive process. You can hear something and not be paying attention to it, but जे तुसी listening कर रहे हो फिर you have to pay attention, you have to use your brain and interpret what is coming into your ears. So now I want to do a short exercise. You can call it a listening meditation. So everyone, for just a few moments, close your eyes or just find a point to concentrate on in front of you if you're not comfortable closing your eyes. And let's see how far into the distance, kitni dur tak tusi sun sakte ho. So to start, you can hear maybe the sound of your body moving in the chair or your neighbor moving in their chair. तुसी अपने साह भी सुन सकते हो। फिर उसके पीछे शायद तुसी पखे की आवाज़ सुन सकते हो। फिर उसके पीछे there's more things that you can hear, maybe very quietly in the distance. So this short exercise, I hope, helps us understand that sound has many layers, and that even in silence, there are many layers of silence that we can listen to. And if we concentrate, we can hear those many different layers of sound and silence interacting with one another. The other thing I think maybe that this exercise shows us is that listening bada aukha kam ho sakta hai, because We have to concentrate not just on any sound that's coming, but we have to focus. And this is very difficult work for our brains. This is cognitive work. So listening requires you to be calm, open, and quiet. Listening is actually somewhat of an art form, but it's an art form that is not about self-expression. Instead of self-expression, it's actually about limiting yourself and trying to quiet the noise that's in your own mind. So probably next I want to discuss an experience that all of us have probably had at some point, when you hear your own voice played back in a recording. Let's say there's a video or someone sends you a voice note of your own voice, and you're listening to the sound of your own voice through a phone or maybe over a loudspeaker, and you think, is that me? Does my voice sound like that? How many people have had this experience where you think your own voice sounds a little bit strange? Yeah. So what's interesting about this is that from a scientific point of view, what you listen to in the recording, that is closer to how other people hear you. So that is actually what you sound like. What you sound like to yourself when you're speaking, this is not you. It is you, but the way that people in the world perceive you, the way that you move through the world, the way that your voice sounds, it is not how your voice sounds to yourself when you are speaking, right? So recordings give us an understanding of what it really sounds like to listen to ourselves in reality. But if we want to understand our inner self, then we have to go a little bit deeper than this surface level of listening. So how can we listen to our inner self? When we hear all the voices of people around us, say our family, our schoolmates, our friends, or teachers, we know that they recognize how we sound, but they don't necessarily know who we are on the inside. So we have to listen very carefully to ourselves if we want to figure out who we are on the inside. And this is a very careful and introspective process. So knowing your inner self is not about self-development or following the advice of other people. We could follow all of the good advice in the world and still not have a perfect understanding of who we actually are, or what is our relationship to the rest of the world, to the universe, to Waheguru. And I think that if you bear with me for a moment, I would like to say that this is actually the meaning in Guru Granth Sahib when we have these terms Manmukh and Gurmukh. I think one meaning that we could say is ascribed to Manmukh is one who hears the word and does not understand. So just for example, sometimes in Guru Granth Sahib this comes in through a sort of in the language of sound and listening, and sometimes it comes through the language of vision and light. So for example, Jaiso chanda ugve, suraj chade hazar, ete chan na hundya, gur bin kora andar. So without the Guru, we cannot truly understand. We might have heard, but we don't understand the true meaning of the word, of the Shabda. So if we want to be more like a Gurmukh instead of a manmukh, then we have to learn to listen to ourselves in the deepest way possible. So with my example with the recorded sound, I hope that gives you a little bit of an idea. That's just scratching the surface, you might say. So hearing ourselves and seeing ourselves as the Guru sees us, or as an external party would view us. This is how we have to learn to hear ourselves, to listen to ourselves, and to see ourselves. And just as when you listen to a recording of your own voice, and the voice sounds strange to you, it doesn't even sound like your own voice. Just as that feels very strange, sometimes hearing who you really are and listening to your inner self feels strange. But it's a strangeness that we have to accept and work with if we want to be the most effective and happy version of ourselves. So it's about, I think, not just, listening to yourself could be a very selfish thing to do, actually. You could say, well, I just think this and I'm going to listen to myself. But what I'm talking about is something else. I'm talking about when you listen to the sound of the world, the whole soundscape, you might say. In that soundscape, where does your voice fit in? That's what you have to listen out for so that you can know where to use your voice. So I also want to just take a few minutes to tell you a little bit more about myself. Hopefully not because I like to hear my own story, but I hope that maybe you can take some inspiration from this. So I did my PhD from Harvard University, and when I began my PhD, I had no idea that I would write my thesis about Sikhism. But after my first year of my PhD, I received a scholarship to come study Punjabi language here in Mohali. There is an institute called American Institute of Indian Studies. And so I came here to study Punjabi language, and I thought, I'm interested in Sikhism. I had an opportunity once before to hear some Gurbani Kirtan. मैंने बहुत अच्छा लगा, तो मैं सोचा मैं इसके बारे और सीखना चाहता. So that's why I came to study Punjabi language. And then after that experience, I realized that this was something that I was truly interested in and something I felt I was connected with and could make some contribution to, if even only in the academic way. So I then had an opportunity to present my first research paper at a Sikh Studies conference in the United States. And I received such wonderful feedback from that conference, from that paper presentation. And people were very encouraging. And that experience led me to realize that this was something that I could truly be connected to. And this was a place where my voice could fit into the conversation. So I hope that example of a story gives you some sort of inspiration for how you can deal with the questions in your own life about what job to take, what kind of person to be, who your friends should be. These are questions that you really have to listen to yourself in order to understand. And I think I'll just leave it with this last point that as I said before, I just want to reemphasize, when we're listening to ourselves, we're not listening to who we think we are, we're listening to all of creation. ਅਸੀਂ ਪੂਰੇ ਕਾਇਨਾਤ ਨੂੰ ਸੁਣ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਤੇ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸੁਣਨਾ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਸਾਡੀ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਕਿਤੇ ਫਿੱਟ ਕਰਦੀ ਹੈ. So anyway, I hope that this was an interesting exploration of listening, and I hope I have a chance to speak with you all individually later. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Brandon Evans. अपने अंदर नाल किवें जुड़ना है, listening to hearing, listening to hearing की फर्क, अपने अंदर दी आवाज़ किवें सुननी है. जदों तुसी अंदर दी आवाज़ नाल जुड़दे हो ते परमात्मा नाल भी जुड़दे हो. जदों तुसी हीयरिंग चो ते तुसी सुनदे भी हो, समझदे भी हो, अपने मन ते भी जोर पाते हो. Understanding your own self, अपने अंदर दी आवाज़ किवें तुसी सुननी है, तुहाडी अंदर दी आवाज़ किहो जी है. तुसी सवेरे जदों नेचर नूं सुनदे हो ते डिफरेंट टाइप्स दी तुहानूं आवाज़ां मिलदियां ने, कुछ पंछियां दियां, कुछ हवा दी, कुछ पत्तियां दियां. तुसी ऑब्जर्व करदे हो, उस नेचर नूं ऑब्जर्व करदे हो. Who we are, असी कौन हाँ, कित्थों आए हाँ, की है साडा मकसद, की है. भई प्राप्त मानुख देह हुरिया, सानू ये जिहड़ी देही मिली है, ये असी किस वास्ते मिली है. ये अंदर दी आवाज़, अंदर नाल जदों गल करदे ने, गुरबाणी तुहानूं अंदर दी गल भी दस रही है, उस परमात्मा दे नाल गल्लां करन दी गल भी दस रही है. ते ये सानूं चानना कित्थों मिलना है? गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब तो. गुरबिन कोर अंधार, गुरु तो असी ये बख्शिश लैनी है. जे असी सारा संसार भी सुन लईए ते अपने अंदर दी आवाज़ ना सुनीए ते गल नहीं बनेगी. गल जिंदगी दी तां बननी है जदों असी अंदर दी आवाज़ नाल सुनना है, अपने अंदर उस परमात्मा जिहड़ा साडे अंदर बैठा है उस नूं सुनना है. एक्सटर्नल बॉडी, इंटरनल बॉडी, एक्सटर्नल इन्फ्लुएंसिस, वर्ल्ड इन्फ्लुएंसिस ते तुहाडे अंदर जिहड़े इन्फ्लुएंसिस ने उन्हां नूं किस तरह असी डिस्टिंग्विश करना है. ये विद्वता दीयां गल्लां डॉक्टर साहब ने साडे नाल शेयर कीतियां ने. बड़े सिंपल तरीके नाल एक्सपैरीमेंट करके
ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅੱਖਾਂ ਨੂਟ ਕੇ ਅੱਖਾਂ ਬੰਦ ਕਰਕੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਤੱਕ ਸੁਣ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ, ਕਿਵੇਂ ਸੁਣ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ, ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੈਡੀਟੇਸ਼ਨ 'ਚ ਹੋ ਤੇ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਵੀ ਸੁਣ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹੋ, ਉਸ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਨਾਲ ਵੀ ਕਨੈਕਟ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹੋ। ਸੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਧੰਨਵਾਦੀ ਹਾਂ। ਇਹ ਜਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਮੌਕਾ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਮੈਂ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕੀਤੀ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਸੰਪਰਕ ਕਰਾਂ ਤੇ ਅੱਜ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਮੌਕਾ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਸੀ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਬੜੇ ਨਿੱਘੇ ਢੰਗ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਹੁੰਗਾਰਾ ਦੇ ਕੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਮੈਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਆਵਾਂਗਾ, ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਪਹੁੰਚਾਂਗਾ, ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਰੂਬਰੂ ਹੋਵਾਂਗਾ। ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਧੰਨਵਾਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਵੀਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਰਿਕੁਐਸਟ ਕਰਾਂਗਾ ਇੱਕ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਪਿਆਰ ਦਾ ਸਨਮਾਨ ਚਿੰਨ੍ਹ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਵੀਰ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਦਿਓ। ਆਓ ਵੀਰ ਜੀ, ਬੇਲ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਆ ਜਾਓ, ਆ ਜਾਓ, ਆ ਜਾਓ, ਆ ਜਾਓ।
ਬੋਲੇ ਸੋ ਨਿਹਾਲ।
ਸਤਿ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ।